Was always one of my favourite actors since I first saw him when I was young, particularly as he fulfilled one of my main requisites in being able to do comedy, and at the same time could bring one almost to tears, as I saw him once in a play where he lived alone in a cottage in a wood, and he and his dog were hounded by teenagers. Appearing in over 100 movies, much TV and a massive radio shows, his versatility shone in that in the radio version of Animal Farm in 1954, he voiced all the animal characters. So, back in 1983, when I was booked for a walk-on in an episode of the TV series The Old Men at the Zoo, I was happy to be able to see him working up close. I had no idea then that he was something of a pixie, in that he had a mischievous sense of humour. At one point, I can't remember the plot of the scene, but suffice it to say that he was lying on the floor on his back and had to be mildly ticked off by the director as he was indulging in the Beryl Reid gag in The Killing of Sister George by mugging comedy faces at the unfortunate actors looking down at him and making them dry up with laughter. This was a location shoot, so breakfast and the other meals were served from one of the wonderful catering wagons which at such times service movie and TV shoots. I always found it fascinating that the quality and variety of the food served was up to the standard of the very best restaurants. So, with an excellent meal in view, one was not bothered about having to queue for it. But I was very pleasantly surprised when the gentle in front of me turned around and I found myself talking to Maurice Denham. It was a dank, miserable day, and looking up at the sky, he said, "You know, on days such as this, I sometimes wonder if I chose the best profession." Now, I have to say that I cannot repeat verbatim what he went on to say, but this is the gist of it. "I started off in engineering, and my first job was very interesting. I had this machine fitted with a sort of miniature railroad track about 18 inches long. At one end of it had a little open trolley with half a dozen holes in the tip, into which fitted screws, minus the slots. And at the other end there was a vertical cutting wheel, a circular saw blade. The job was to load 6 slotless screws into the trolley, and then with a handle protruding from the side, rolled it along until it passed under the wheel, which cut a slot in the head of each screw, and then as it came to the end of the track it tipped and ejected them into a bin, so that one could run it back along the track in order to reload." Then a pause to look up at the bleak sky, and obviously out of the corner of his eye, to time our progression to the serving hatch of the food wagon. "Yes, indeed," again looking up at the sky as he shuffled sideways. "On days such as this, I tend to wonder if I was mistaken in changing profession. As who knows what that job could have led to?" And with a quick turn up the steps to the serving hatch, "I would like the roast beef, please." And he was up the steps, served, and away with his meal, leaving me chuckling, and not in time, as had also been the case with Sir Ralph Richardson, to tell him that for decades he had been one of my very favourite actors.